Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Marvel Champions video. Today we're taking a look at some of the first cards revealed for the upcoming War Machine deck. This should be coming out in October. I believe next month we have the Thanos expansion, with the rumored release date for Nebula being September, this being October, and the Hood scenario pack coming out in November. So Thanos next month, then Nebula, then War Machine, then the Hood. So here we are looking at James Rhodes. He is Shield and the Soldier. This is the alter ego side, of course. 3 recovery, hand size of 6 with 10 hit points. And again, has an action. Choose a War Machine card in your discard pile, shuffle it into your deck, and as a force response, after you change to this form, discard each ammo counter from your identity. So we're going to take a look at War Machine. He gets ammo counters on him. Those counters can be used to do different things. But when you flip back to the James Rhodes side, you need to discard any of the remaining ammo counters that are on him. So that is James Rhodes. We're going to look at War Machine now. So here is War Machine on the hero side. 1 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense. He's an Avenger and a Soldier. Hand size goes down to 5. And has the locked and loaded response, or after you change to his form, place 5 ammo counters on War Machine. And there's a bunch of cards in his deck that depend on ammo counters. You can spend ammo counters to do certain things. So we're going to go ahead and look at some of those. So that was War Machine. Next up, we have the Munitions Bunker. It's a 2-cost support. It's a location. It's also Shield. Generates a physical resource if you discard it. And as an alter ego action, exhaust Munitions Bunker to place 2 ammo counters on it. Then as a hero action, exhaust the bunker to move each ammo counter here to War Machine. So basically, as an alter ego action, you can exhaust this to add ammo counters to it. And then as a hero action, you can exhaust it to move the counters from it to War Machine. So that is the Munitions Bunker. We're going to move into our next card. All right, next up we have the Shoulder Cannon. It's an upgrade. Generates an energy resource if you discard it. Cost 2. It's tech and a weapon. It's a hero action attack. Exhaust the Shoulder Cannon to deal 1 damage to an enemy. You may remove 1 ammo counter from War Machine to ready the cannon. So basically, if you have a bunch of ammo counters on him, you can basically exhaust it to do a damage, spend an ammo counter to exhaust or to get to ready it, and then you can basically continue like burn through all your ammo counters, hitting a bunch of stuff for 1. So there's like a lot of let's say Ultron drones out. You can basically just exhaust this to clear off a bunch of those drones. You can essentially use it to do as much damage as you have ammo counters on War Machine. So you can turn it into one big attack. You attack, do 1, discard an ammo counter, ready it, exhaust it again to do 1 more damage, remove a counter, ready it, and attack again. So that is the Shoulder Cannon. We're going to move into our next card. Next up, we have Targeted Strike. It's a 1-cost event. It's a thwart event. Generates an energy resource if you discard it. It's a hero action thwart. Remove 1 ammo counter from War Machine to remove 3 threat from a scheme. That was pretty good. So I like that. It's 1 ammo counter to remove 3 threat, and then you don't have to exhaust War Machine to do that. You just have to spend an ammo counter. So that could be a really good way to kind of in a pinch to remove a bunch of threat off of the scheme. So that is Targeted Strike. We're going to move into our next card. All right, next up we have Scorched Earth. It's a 3-cost event. Generates mental resource if you discard it. It's a tactic. Hero action, remove 3 ammo counters from War Machine to deal 3 damage to each enemy in play. That's pretty big. So 3 cost. It costs you 3 ammo counters, but basically everything is going to get hit with for 3 damage. That could be a really good way to kind of wipe out a bunch of minions, kind of all in one shot. Also do some damage to the villain as well. It's going to cost you, again, 3 resources plus 3 ammo counters, so it's kind of expensive. But definitely probably worth it, depending on if you have just a ton of minions engaged with you or engaged with your teammates. You can spend 3, remove 3 ammo counters, and hit everything for 3 damage. So that is Scorched Earth. We're going to move into our next card. Alright, next up we have Full Auto, 2-cost event. Generates a physical resource if you discard it. It's an attack, a hero action attack. Remove 4 ammo counters from War Machine and choose an enemy. Deal 8 damage to that enemy. The attack gains overkill. So you have a really strong minion now. You can basically spend the 4 ammo counters into 2 resources to deal, let's say it's the minion has 4 health. You do 4 health, and then the attack gains overkill and hit something else. or you can just use it to do, 8 damage straight to the villain as well. So, full auto seems pretty cool. That's that card. We're going to move into our next card. All right, next up we have Iron Man. So, ally version of Iron Man. It's a gray card, so you can go into any deck. 3 cost, generates a physical resource if you discard it. He's an Avenger. 2 thwart, 2 attack with 1 consequential damage each. Comes in with 3 hit points. And as a response, after Iron Man enters play, search your deck and discard pile for a tech upgrade. Add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. I like that this is gray, so it slots into any aspect that you want to build War Machine with. So it is a War Machine specific version of Iron Man, but it doesn't matter which kind of aspect you build War Machine with. You can include this version of Iron Man in that deck, no matter what the aspect is. So that is Iron Man. We're going to move into our next card. And next up, we have Black Panther, ally version of Black Panther. 4 cost, generates a mental resource if you discard it. 2 thwart, 2 attack with 2 consequential damage each. 4 hit points. He's Avenger and Wakanda. And you may play the event attached to Black Panther as if it were in your hand. And as a response, after Black Panther enters play, choose a leadership, a blue event in your discard pile, attach it to him face down. So basically, whatever event you add to him, I believe you probably still have to pay the resource cost, but you can play that event as though it was in your hand. And I don't know if it gets discarded after you play it. So if you keep Black Panther around a while, you might have a really good leadership event that you can trigger multiple times. Again, I'm not sure if the event, once you use it, if it gets discarded or if it just stays attached to Black Panther until Black Panther leaves play. But 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 consequential damage each on that. I really like the ability of him basically being able to use an event potentially over and over again. I still imagine that you have to pay for that event, though. But that is our ally version of Black Panther. We're going to move into our next card. Next up, we have Captain Marvel. 5 cost ally. Generates an energy resource if you discard it. Comes in with 4 hit points. 2 thwart for 1 consequential damage. Or 3 attack for 2 consequential damage. She's aerial and an Avenger. And as a response, after Captain Marvel enters play, discard the top 4 cards of your deck. If you discarded a printed energy resource, deal 3 damage to an enemy. If you discarded more than 1 printed resource or printed energy resource, also stun that enemy. So it's kind of like, I forget what the card was in her deck, but it was you discard a certain number of cards, and it, like depending on how many of them have energy symbols, it does extra damage. That's kind of what they're going with here. She's kind of expensive, but basically she comes into play and then has the potential to hit something for 3 damage and also potentially stun them if it's more than 1 energy resource. But also 3 attack for 2 is good because you can get her to do basically 2 attacks, do a total of 6 damage, and then she has 4 hit points. If you keep her healed up, she can do pretty well. Again, 2 thwart is also pretty good, and also so is 3 attack, and her response of basically discarding the top 4 cards in your deck to potentially pick something for damage is also pretty good. So that is the ally version of Captain Marvel. It looks like the deck is going to be leadership to start, and then you can basically build War Machine however you want. But with these blue cards, it looks like they're going leadership is going to be his kind of pre-built aspect. So that was Captain Marvel. Into our next card here, we have Sneak Attack. So 1 cost event, generates a physical resource if you discard it. It's also a tactic. Choose an ally in your hand that shares a trait with your identity. Put that ally into play. If that ally is still in play at the end of the phase, discard it. So it looks like it's kind of basically you get use of an ally for the rest of that round or that phase. Basically, you can attack with it, thwart with it, and I don't think you have to pay the resource cost because it costs 1 to play the event, and it just says basically to put the ally into play. I imagine that bypasses paying the cost, and then if it's still around at the end of the phase, you discard it. Kind of really like this because you could use something like make the call to get the ally back. Like if you use this, say like you use it with trying to think of like Maria Hill, for example, one of the best allies in the game currently, at least in blue. You can basically get her out, use her for the rest of the phase. If she's still around, gets discarded, and then you can do something like make the call to get her back. So that is Sneak Attack. We're going to move into our next card. Next up, we have Go Down Swinging, 0 cost event. The tactic generates a physical resource if you discard it. It's a hero action, discard an ally you control that deal damage to an enemy equal to that ally's printed cost. So for example, let's say you get Captain Marvel down to, like, let's say, like 1 hit point left. She costs 5. You can pay 0. You can discard that Captain Marvel and then do 5 damage to something. And then, again, if you're playing leadership, you have ways to get those allies back with cards like Make the Call and things like that. So, Go Down Swinging seems like a really interesting card. So, that's that. We're going to move into our next card. Next up, we just have a card fan here. So, I think we covered War Machine, we've covered James Rhodes, we covered Full Auto. There's a couple of cards that we know we're getting the, looks like the Gauntlet Gun and missile launchers, but I can't really exactly see what it says. Exhaust, remove the War Machine enemy. This, I imagine, this attack maybe gains overkill. And then looks like the Gauntlet Gun has some kind of response to it. I imagine we'll get those full cards revealed at some point in the future. But that's going to do it for this video. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll be back again once more cards are revealed for upcoming sets. And once more cards for War Machine are revealed, we'll be discussing those as well. That's going to do it for now. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time. Thanks again.